My great hope is that people, men or women, will watch the film and hopefully get an awareness about what happens psychologically in those moments.
I remember for the first 3 days of filming, and these are like 12-hour filming days, there was not a single second of footage that was kept. And it was only on the Thursday of the first week that they finally said, great, we've got our first 2 seconds.
I know. And we did so many takes of the crying scene. I was a little bit surprised, actually. Oh my God, again. But yeah, you just have to do it.
You really see the creme de la creme in those moments because despite the pressure, they can operate.
At 5, I used to get really upset with my mum and cry and be like, you're such a bad mum. I want an agent, you're ruining my career, you're not helping me.
It sounds like this is a very useful melting pot in terms of your career as an actress, to have that kind of Latin American fire, the American optimism, the English restraint. I just sort of became obsessed, and it was so clear in my mind, like, this is what I want to do. I'm speaking today with Nicole Kent. I first met Nicole during a business meeting about 5 years ago in the bar of Claridge's Hotel, and our second meeting is today. Nicole is an actress, a filmmaker, and a writer, and we're going to do a deep dive on her life. Nicole, it's good to have you with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be here and with you again.
Absolutely, it's been a while.
It has.
Take me back to the start.
Okay, so I was born with another friend in the womb. That's my twin brother, Nathan. And he's been the best support throughout my whole entire life. I'd say the best twin out there. And no offense to all the other twins. And we started our life in London. We were born in Paddington. But my dad, he was working, he had a job in Bahrain. So we lived there for a couple of years, just really nice. My mum has the best memories from Bahrain. Apparently I didn't really remember too much because it was between the ages of 1 to 3 or almost 4. But yeah, she says always that it was one of the best years of her life. She was in heaven. Beautiful blue sky every day and the beach, and people are so nice.
Do you have any memories at all?
I remember going to the sweet shop religiously. Because they have those delicious sweets.
Okay.
Baklava, that type. And every Sunday, my dad would take us. So that was like a huge highlight. And like little parties. My mum's Venezuelan, so we'd always have a piñata party.
Oh, right. Okay.
And we're just like obviously so much fun with all the sweets sort of flying everywhere. My dad, he's American. And my mum's Venezuelan. And they met in Chicago. Because my mum, she was studying there. And my dad, he was working. And just one night, the stars were aligned. And actually a very interesting thing, which proves that the stars do align. So when the night that my dad met my mum, they danced all night long. There was obviously a lot of chemistry. And then the next day, when he went to pick her up from her flat, she went down with all his mail because she had moved into his flat, which he moved out of that week.
You can't write this.
No.
Chicago's a large place.
I know, of all places. Of all places. So the stars were definitely aligned and yeah, they then carried on her journey with my brother and I. But then the war happened with the Gulf War. So everyone had to leave. Well, the bank moved everybody. And so we spent 6 months in maybe like 8 months in Venezuela. And we completely forgot how to speak English. And when my dad came and visited, even like 3 months in, we were just saying, hola, papa, ¿cómo estás? And we couldn't speak English. And then when we got back to the UK, my mum sort of tearing her hair out thinking, oh God, they're going to be saying hola to all the kids. Yes. She made it a thing to only speak English, get the English back.
So when were you in Venezuela?
This was probably 4, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5.
Age 4, okay. And what was the situation like in Venezuela at the time?
At the time, I think things got really bad maybe 10 years later. Well, when my mum grew up in Venezuela, it was heaven again. It really was the golden years. And you have everything there. You've got the beautiful jungle nearby, the most stunning beaches on the planet, and a very good life for most people. But then obviously a horrible government came in, Hugo Chavez. So they ruined everything. And sadly now no one's left, apart from one aunt who refuses to leave.
Right, okay.
Sort of clinging on.
Thinking of the great exports of Venezuela in recent decades, probably Gustavo Dudamel comes to mind, the El Sistema project, which is kind of held up as this bastion of education and music. But
they're all in Florida.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we grew up in London, and I do feel very blessed to have all 3 aspects, to be very much in English society and culture, and I am a part of it, and I think there's so many amazing things about English people. They're the best. They're amazing. Their sense of humor.
Are you bilingual?
Yeah, I mean, my Spanish isn't as good as my English, and having the American side as well. I think Americans also have so many things that we should also look up to and adopt. Maybe their openness and ambition.
Joie de vivre, their kind of optimism. Yeah,
like anything's possible, rather than saying, nothing's possible.
Quite.
And then the Venezuelan touch, spice, also to, that they're so emotional. I always find when I speak to family or just South Americans in general, that you can really, really feel their words, rather than think the English language can be feel cerebral. Even if I'm sure they feel things. Obviously, they feel things, but you can really feel it with South America.
It sounds like this is a very useful melting pot in terms of your career as an actress, to have that kind of Latin American fire, the American optimism, the English restraint.
I think so. I'm so lucky.
The Bahrainian pinata memories. There we go. Okay, so you find yourself back in England.
In England. Oh, this was since 5.
Okay.
4 or 5, and I've been here sort of pretty much ever since. I've had stints in the US, in mainly New York, LA, a little bit of Florida, but right now I'm here to stay. Hopefully, if things don't get too bad with the government. Really nice upbringing, very loving, tight-knit family. Went to an all-girls school that was very academic and nurturing. Ended up at Leeds University, which is great for people who don't know anything about Leeds. It is the sort of party uni of the UK. So it was a lot of fun.
So your Latin American roots could come back out.
Oh yeah. But I think with also the English sort of raving.
Good combination.
Yeah.
I'm guessing at some point maybe you got scouted, or what was your trajectory into the kind of the acting world?
Oh, okay. So my mum came back from a holiday, and she brought cassettes. And one of them was The Sound of Music. This when I was 5. And I remember it so clearly. And I was just completely mesmerized by the film, by Julie Andrews. I just wanted to be her. Just thought it was the most beautiful film, with all those long shots of the mountains and the singing and the children, the storyline. And I just sort of became obsessed, and it was so clear in my mind, like, this is what I want to do. And at 5, I used to get really upset with my mum and cry and be like, "You're such a bad mum. I want an agent. You're ruining my career. You're not helping me." And she made her feel really guilty about it. And she was sort of, I need to find an agent and get her.
You sound like a young Hermione Granger at this point. It's not, "But mummy, I want a pony." It's, "But mummy, I want an agent."
I need a career. And so she got me an agent. She's an amazing mum, so obviously she did that. And I've just been in love with it ever since. And after uni, I studied acting. There was such a great, I guess, relief from so many years of academia. And it's the best years of my life. Learning, getting like really deep into character work and scene study.
So your performing CV is huge number of roles that you had growing up. I mean, talk us through some of the highlights. I mean, I know you did. Was it The Queen's Nose? Was that one of the early? Tell us about The Queen's Nose, because I vaguely remember watching this on TV.
Yeah, so it was a TV program, and it's about controlling time and the future with the flick of a coin. So that was an amazing experience. I loved every second of it, and it was one of my first roles. And I do remember being a bit nervous in the beginning, but I think obviously with time and the more you do something, the more natural it feels. And by now, I've reached a stage where I really wanted to make my own work. So this is a film I made, Pinch and Ouch, which I think's been a culmination of everything that I've loved and pursued throughout my life. Now, kind of in a film.
So tell me about some of the other things that you did, growing up, because there's so many things on your CV here. Other than The Queen's Nose, I did notice that Harry Potter was one of those. Could you tell me maybe about your roles there? I mean, even working as an artiste or a background actor, these can be hugely informative and hugely formative experiences. It's
Absolutely.
Just grasping how the industry works.
Totally. And I think it's so good for kids to have that same experience, because it teaches you discipline. Also, love for working. And I think there's something so exciting about being on a film set and being surrounded by passionate people who really care about what they're doing. And everyone's trying to reach the same goal of just making something great.
Yes.
And the friends that you make along the way as well, they really are friends for life, because there's this mutual understanding for this.
That you're aiming towards this great goal. Yes, I think also maybe the working conditions, the times. It's such an arduous process, especially filming on a big film. I only have a little bit of experience, being an extra or a musician in a few films.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of like the Batman film that came out a few years ago. You had to get there at something like 5 a.m. to do your makeup. And so there would be a bus or taxis that would leave central London anywhere from 2 to 3 a.m. And then you would invariably wait for many, many, many hours until it was Robert Pattinson in the lead role of Batman would arrive with the rest of the A-listers. And I remember for the first 3 days of filming, and these are like 12-hour filming days, there was not a single second of footage that was kept. And it was only on the Thursday of the first week that they finally said, great, we've got our first 2 seconds.
I know.
And I think it was February at the time. It was very cold. There were about 400 extras and about 20 of us musicians at the front. And you just think of the finances at play here.
Yeah.
The hundreds of thousands, if not millions, that are being invested in the scene every day. And then, wrapping filming each day, somewhere between 7 and 9 p.m, a couple hours back to London to get up again.
Yeah, it is. It can be very repetitive.
And it can forge friendships, meaningful friendships.
Yes, definitely. Especially when, with all these children and everyone, you only have a chaperone. And you're all sort of left to, kind of your own devices in a sort of controlled environment until you have to be on set.
Yes.
But yeah,
And there's quite strict laws, at least in the UK now, about how long children actors can work, right, on a given day.
Yeah, I think the laws in the UK is actually really good in terms of protecting children, because obviously I think in the US that it's a little bit more relaxed.
Right.
And there have been so many cases, horrible cases, but here they've managed to keep it pretty strict. So I don't think I've never heard of something happening.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, because it can be quite fraught on set, especially when they realise that, say, the children can only film for a maximum of, say, 4 hours a day. And there's 10 minutes left on the clock. and you're rehearsing the scene again and again, and then they say, right, we're going to bring in the choir, which was, from my recollection, what they were doing on that day. And they said, we've got about time for about one take now. And if we do not get this take, they're going home.
Yeah.
The labour laws mean that everyone's got to come back again tomorrow.
I know.
Or next week. And so it puts that pressure. And it's in those moments where you see, especially in terms of the professional actors and actresses, you really see the creme de la creme in those moments, because despite the pressure, they can operate.
Exactly. Absolutely. There's a lot of, well, I think pressure can also produce really great work and creativity as well.
Absolutely.
Time constraints, even money constraints can be a really good thing.
Diamonds formed under pressure.
Yes.
And so do you have any especially prominent memories, fond memories, growing up on particular, TV shows or films, or equally any kind of horrible memories from that time?
No, don't have any bad memories. Only good memories. I would say this film Sugar House, that's probably one of my favorite films that I was in.
Okay.
Because I did it with my brother. And it was...
So he had an agent too at this point?
Yes. We were twins. We did everything together. He's a really good actor.
Okay. Does he still act now?
He doesn't. No. He's got a family and a baby. Okay. Yeah. And
tell us about Sugar House.
Yeah, so it's a film, it's basically a gangster film, which was interesting because they filmed it in Bromley by Bow, sort of in somewhere over there. Sorry.
Maybe a little bit more precise. Somewhere over there. I'm afraid I haven't heard of Bromley on Bow either. So
yeah, no, it's just very East London. It's these huge council estates.
Okay.
It's interesting learning a little bit about the sort of living situations, because they rented it from a family, but there were probably in like a 4-bedroom house, maybe like 30 family members.
Gosh.
Cram living. Obviously they weren't there whilst we were filming, but that was what we were told, just chatting.
And so what are there any other memories, fond memories from growing up?
I've loved traveling more than anything. That is something that I will always continue to do no matter what. And I just love expanding the mind, because I feel wherever you go in the world, you always take a part of that place with you and the people that you meet and just their different ways of being. So I'm so grateful for my family kind of taking me to all these nice places.
Anywhere sticks in the mind? So
Uganda, which is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever been to, in the south, the Windy Forest, where the gorillas live. And we hiked for like 8 hours to go see them. And they're surprisingly human-like. I was so shocked. This one gorilla, I was watching him, and he picked his nose, and I saw him do it. He like put his finger in there, and then he sort of looked at it like this, and then looked side to side because he knew it was a naughty thing to do, and then he ate it. And I was like, it's a human.
If that happens today, we'll edit it out, so don't worry.
So those are my fond memories.
Fantastic. And then you find yourself in Leeds.
Yeah.
Tell me what pushed you towards going to Leeds University, and what did you choose to study there?
I actually based a lot of things on feelings.
Okay.
I had a feeling I should go to Leeds. I think I must have been influenced by a few older girls who were going, and then years later, in my subconscious, I suddenly thought, maybe I should go to Leeds.
And what did you read whilst at Leeds?
I did communications and then English literature. And then after that, I did law, studied law. And English literature is probably the most, the subject that's kind of in my blood, almost. And communications, that was very interesting, because politics is also a big part of my life. In terms of not necessarily like, an MP or anything, but very, very engaged and involved and interested as well. I love studying. So
yes, I was going to say communications, English literature, politics, law.
I love studying. Exams to me, like the funnest, used to be the funnest, one of the great fun things to do.
Okay. You talk about English literature running through your veins.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you read now? What kind of things get you going?
Oh, I read everything. I just finished Trophy of Cancer, which I wasn't expecting it to be as explicit, but it's kind of, I would recommend everybody to read it. It's kind of like a 50 Shades of Grey, but from the 30s.
Right, okay.
And it's so creative, very, very wacky, and a fun read. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought it was a serious book. Yeah, and then I picked it up. It's like, whoa.
Well, there's a lineage of erotica, which, I guess starts before, is it E.L. James? Is that who wrote 50? I think so, yeah. Pauline Riage, and go back to de Sade, and even further, I guess. Okay, so Tropic of Cancer is your pick. Well,
that's for now, but I love Virginia Woolf. Mm-hmm. Her novels really strike a chord, and her poetic language. Mm-hmm. And
I guess as a filmmaker as well, you kind of that rich, evocative imagery is something that you might.
And I finished a novel. It's not published yet. It's called World's End, and it's a love story that's set in a UK that's a little bit different to what we know. So what could happen in 50 years, 60 years?
Okay.
With a change in government that wouldn't be good for this country.
Right. So would you say it's Orwellian in its tone?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you give us any spoilers?
Two lovers. Mm-hmm. So serendipitous meeting. It's based on a similar, something like 10 years ago that happened, where you wake up one morning and you don't have anything planned. Mm-hmm. And then you just take yourself, go to a museum, and then something happens and I think what I couldn't at the time believe, I'd say, God, you just never know. You never know what can happen in life. And so I try to celebrate that in the book, in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then let's say, a spoiler, they both survive.
Okay, that's something. No need to read the book now. I joke. And this is your first book?
Yes.
How have you found the writing process?
It starts off great because everything comes out, and there is I can't really describe the feeling, but it's cathartic. Maybe that's what it is. Mm-hmm. And but then with the editing, forever editing, that I think that's when it starts becoming maybe a bit more laborious. But you just have to stick with it.
And you have experience film making already.
Yes.
I guess a degree of maybe script writing.
Yes.
To fall back on. Has that been helpful?
Oh, they're so different. Script writing and novel writing. You do have to teach yourself, actually. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the acting kind of helps with understanding or knowing how to write a script, because it's all about action. And you have to be very succinct, direct, get to the point. Novel writing, you can really just take your time and write these beautiful sentences and express. But you've got to kind of separate the two.
So you did a lot of acting growing up. You went to university, you did your degrees, you did your stint in law, and then you came over to the kind of the script writing, the film side of things.
Yeah.
What was the first project that you worked on in that time?
So Pinch and Ouch.
Okay.
It's with the film festivals right now, which is really exciting. And that was born out of an experience I had a few years ago now. And it was sadly something that shouldn't happen to people. And it just bothered me for so long because of how I reacted, which is I didn't react. And just let this thing happen and completely froze. And I'm usually very assertive in most situations. And when I left, I was shocked that I didn't do anything to defend myself or speak up, say anything. And so for years, I was always in conversations with people. I bring the story up, and I realized that almost every single person had a story, their own story, that I would never have known had I not mentioned mine. because people reciprocate stories.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it just literally one day, I woke up literally one morning and thought, you know what, I'm going to turn this into something positive. Because in the moment, this person really tried to humiliate me and make me feel so weak and a shell of myself. And actually doing this now, having gone through the process and making something that I'm really proud of, I feel like I've now got the power back somehow.
Good.
Yeah. And he doesn't know it yet, but...
Tell me about the creative process then. Where did you start? Was it with the script? Did you have in mind the people that you'd like to play certain roles?
So the script, number one, as soon as it just flowed out of me. I was pretty much, I had a few edits, but I was really happy with the script. And then it's really important to have a great DOP and this brilliant DOP friend called AJ Lamb, and he came on board, and it grew from there. And every single person who came to the shoot, pre-production, post-production, gave 1,000%. They gave everything, their hearts and souls.
Fantastic.
And I'm so grateful for everyone.
So I've seen the film. It's fantastic. It's 17-minute, kind of like short bit of film, but in that time, it really does pack a punch. And you've kind of got the exposition, you've got the recapitulation, and you've got, quite a pivotal central scene. I would suggest to people to go and check it out. I did find it. It's amazing how much power you can pack into a mere 17 minutes. Yeah.
And actually, I think that story suits a short film, because you don't want the audience, because it is quite heavy. I think some people afterwards, it plays on the mind a little bit. So maybe, I think it's good to, I personally love punchy.
Right, okay.
Short, even half an hour TV shows,
Yeah. Practical considerations of time, aside, money, etc. Do you think it's harder to produce a smaller film or a longer film?
Probably a shorter one, actually. Because even I tried to make mine shorter. Really tried, and it's hard. And you also, you have to be more selective. You can't waffle. It's very easy to waffle.
I forget the name of the author who said, I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. Do you remember that? Do you know that quote?
No, I don't.
But it's fantastic, isn't it? I guess when you've got hours at your disposal, you can get away with scenes which don't pack as much punch.
Exactly. But you also have to think of the audience. It's their time. At least at this point, I'd much rather just get the message across.
Yes.
Leave the audience happy.
So where did the filming take place?
All in London. Okay. We made it look like LA, because
I was convinced it was LA. We have that sequence of the plane shooting to LA, and
we did a good job. We had to cover even the radiators. You know the sides.
Yes.
And the plugs as well. We made sure that everything was covered. So you got to think of these things.
Did you have what's the name? I know that you have someone who does continuity to ensure there's
we had
things are similar
continuity
throughout. Did you have someone who would be attuned to all of these kind of things, plug sockets, etc.?
Well, me.
That was you. Okay.
No, I had a continuity person.
Okay.
But I was I had 10 eyes.
Yes.
That on the shoot days.
Did you find there was a lot of pressure on the shoot days? Because not only were you acting in the film, but I guess you were kind of directing it at the same time, and it was your baby, so to speak. It was your creative vision.
I know. It is stressful. But I had such a supportive team that I could 100% count on, which makes all the difference in the world. And it's you sort of ride on that good stress.
Yes.
And it's almost like fuel.
Adrenaline, I guess, as well.
So in a way, I wouldn't say that, it was crippled for days. It was, it was good.
Can I give away a few spoilers from the film? Can I talk about some of the scenes? Yeah. So there's a central scene where you have the elderly, kind of famous actor who's imparting his wisdom to you as a young student who wants to go and have some lessons with him. And
he's a sort of mentor.
Yeah, in that kind of role. And it becomes apparent that he's kind of trying to push you out of your comfort zone, which maybe is the sign of any good director, but then he's obviously overstepping that mark. And there's a scene there where he basically asks you to act like a dog. So he stood above you and you're crawling around and he's asking you to whimper, to bark, all of these things. How did you find that filming process? Was that something that came relatively naturally to you, or was that something that you found to be quite difficult, especially with other people in the room and I guess a team of camera people?
Well, in a way, it actually makes it easier, I think, when you do have all these people around, because then you know you're on a film set.
Okay.
So, and like I said, everyone was so supportive. So I knew I was safe at all times.
I guess I'm getting at the vulnerability.
Yeah.
To show vulnerability in any way on set. Maybe you're being asked to cry, or being asked to kiss someone, or whatever you're being asked to do. Is that something that you find is well within your wheelhouse, or do you find that it takes quite a drain out of you?
Definitely. It does take a toll, for sure. You do feel it afterwards, kind of like a hangover. It takes a bit of time to get out of that state, but I can enter it if I need to.
So how long did filming take?
So we squeezed 70 minutes in 2 days.
2 days of filming? Oh my gosh.
Which is a miracle. But that really is testament to the amazing crew. It was clockwork.
That's phenomenal.
Nobody slacked. It was just next.
And I guess, again, emotionally draining, because in some of the scenes, you're having to act quite excited, about the possibilities that arise, especially the early scenes when you're at home with your flatmate.
Yeah.
I guess if on the same day that you've then got to do a scene where you're experiencing the opposite emotions, I guess that's something that wouldn't necessarily be expected, correct me if I'm wrong, of an actor or an actress at the top of their game on a multi-million-pound set, where they probably have the luxury of doing disparate scenes across separate days.
Yeah, definitely. It was actually definitely a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster. And we did so many takes of the crying scene. I was a little bit surprised, actually. Oh my God, again. But yeah, you just have to do it, I guess. It was, and even throughout, because obviously, there were sort of triggering memories of what had happened, but it was so cathartic at the same time. So I encourage anyone who is going through anything to just flip it, flip the narrative, and try and, there's always a way to make a negative into a positive.
Absolutely. What are your hopes for the film? You say that it's kind of in the film shows now.
Yes.
Where is it being shown currently?
Well, it's with the film festivals. We've only just sent it off.
Okay.
So we're just waiting to hear back. But my great hope is that people, men or women, will watch the film and hopefully get an awareness about what happens psychologically in those moments. And I hope the aim is that, they'll experience it without actually going through it. So then it almost becomes your own memory. And if something ever happens, that subconscious memory will come to the surface, and then you might think, oh, I'm not gonna do what the character did, which is not say anything, but actually go back, which is what she does, and challenge.
Yes, absolutely.
And this freezing thing seems to, for some reason, happen a lot. So if people are just aware, you might freeze. Just to know that that's happening, I think would be so helpful.
What do you have lined up to come after this film? Because it's maybe short, but it's very powerful.
Yes.
Do you plan on doing something in a similar vein, or do you plan on doing something quite different?
Total opposite. We're going comedy.
Okay.
And celebrating everything English. What's great about this country, the special sense of humour, wit. Really want to capture that in the next film.
Do you have any spoilers to tell me about this film?
So what I will reveal is that it's going to be a fusion of Austin Powers meets David Lynch.
Give me more.
Something wacky, 2 characters, and their exploration, an adventure through London.
Fantastic. I mean, you mentioned Lynch there. What other filmmakers are there that have kind of inspired you throughout your life? Any favourite films, favourite filmmakers?
Yes, so many. David Lynch, he's number one. But they are quite dark. I sometimes, maybe as a woman, some of the scenes can be a bit heavy. Particular movies, American Beauty.
Gosh.
It's just one of my...
It's up there for me as well.
Yeah, it's the feeling of the film. I think that's what I love about the films I love, is that it gives me this feeling. Will
your next film be a longer film?
So I'm going to...
Because I'm thinking, if you wanted to do this, my favourite scene from American Beauty would be, I know it's a cliche, but it would be the plastic bag blowing in the wind scene. But if it's a 17-minute film, dedicating 3 minutes of that to something with no text, where you have a plastic bag against a wall and some leaves, might be a bit much. That's why I ask.
Yeah. Well, I want to do a couple more short films because I think they're really important and also a great way to keep learning and improving and finding your style and voice. And then hopefully by the 4th, we'll feature film.
What other ideas do you have done? Is your mind brimming with other ideas or?
Yeah. Well, the feature film will be my novel.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I want to make that into a feature film. So, but I've got, a few steps before then.
Fantastic.
And I've got an idea for a TV series that I think would be great.
Tell us about that. I'm wanting all the spoilers today.
So that would be, well, I had a stint in family law, family offices, and the stories that I came across was so fascinating, and across the board. I want to try and capture all the different segments of English society.
And it's an opportune time for that, because questions around English identity, English values, etc., are being really brought to the fore at the moment. I mean, we're filming in London today. We're in central Westminster here, and there's going to be a big rally in about 2 days' time.
Yes, freedom
Absolutely,
march.
Yeah. Do you think your series might play off some of those themes?
No, I'm not going to make it political.
Okay.
Because I think people, we're so sort of choking on everything that's going on in the world, that I do want it to be an escape, but also an interesting insight into problems in relationships, marriages, because it's kind of one of the hardest things to get right.
Quite.
So maybe there could be, a way to help people as well through sort of having a psychoanalytic take on it. I've always had an interest in character study, which is why I love acting so much and really deep diving into the psyche. And I'd say that Silence of the Lambs is probably a great example of character study.
I mean, I completely agree with you. So Anthony Hopkins delivering one of arguably the best performance of all time as Hannibal Lecter. And what was it? Jodie Foster, isn't it?
Yes.
As
Clarice.
Agent Starling. Clarice Starling.
Yeah, with her sort of steely eyes.
Absolutely. And so what sticks out in that film for you?
To me, I'd say the moment when their fingers touch ever so slightly. And it's that almost indecent connection that's romantic but perverse.
It's akin to the Stockholm syndrome, isn't it? She's obviously not incarcerated. She's not being held captive. But you could argue, that in terms of her mind, psychologically, the risk is that she could be held.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that they warn the audience and her in the beginning of the film. And it's almost, as an audience member, I remember thinking, surely not, she's not going to fall for it. and then you see him and he's so discreet, completely the opposite. It's actually quite good that they contrasted him with all the other inmates that are physically quite scary
and vulgar, and he actually
he's so controlled, and he walks in. There's something weirdly likable about him.
And I guess that for me the difference would be between him and Buffalo Bill in the film, whereas Buffalo Bill is kind of indiscriminate in his actions. He's just preying on the young women to get what he wants. Whereas there's almost a feeling with Hannibal Lecter in that he's not just out to kill indiscriminately. There is some kind of warped psychopathic, but there is some kind of reason behind the way that he's playing the game. And so maybe Clarice, as that young agent with so much promise, is kind of drawn to breaking that enigma.
Yeah, definitely. Well, she also they need each other, and he needs her vulnerability to survive, and he also helps her unlock the fears that she's had and she suppressed throughout her life, the trauma of the past. So they sort of become a symbiotic, they develop and create a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely.
But it's just so perfectly executed in both their acting, the dialogue, everything. It's just a perfect film.
It is a perfect film. Is it your favourite film?
It's one of. I wouldn't say my favourite. I don't have a favourite just because you have to respect every film that you watch, especially as a filmmaker, knowing what goes into each film. Even the bad ones. I know what went into it, so...
Right, okay. I mean, I have a very close friend. Do you know the IMDb top 250?
Yes.
Films? Well, there is the IMDb bottom 250, bottom 100. And he has religiously watched every film, and he can repeat them back to you, word perfect.
Amazing.
And he gets a kick out of seeing, the lack of continuity between scenes.
Yes.
Kick out of the poor dialogue, just the unbelievable plots. I mean, in terms of my favourite films, probably Interstellar.
Yes.
Is my favourite of the film for the music, the visuals, and the story. My other favourite film would be Shawshank Redemption. And in many ways, for me, they're very similar films in that they've got a central protagonist who's facing almost insurmountable odds, but continues resolutely in the face of that. And
we should always...
Spoiler alert, comes out on top in the end. I think Parasite would be very high for me.
Yeah.
As well.
Such good lessons to learn. Got to always keep going. It's one thing I really loved about making the film is working with my amazing composers, and Antonino Abates and Jack Ledger-Dowse, who are both so brilliant, and we both, as a team, work together, trying to always keep it subtle, because I love subtlety, but hitting the right notes, emotional notes, without overdoing it, which is more challenging than you think. Trying to think of what would work. And so I just spent hours listening to soundtracks and anything.
People underestimate the role that music plays in films, because you could take The Exorcist, you could take Psycho, and if you replace the soundtrack with something twee, suddenly it loses its terror.
Yeah.
And it works other ways. People have done this where they've taken Leni Riefenstahl footage of marches in the 30s or 40s, and they've replaced it with comedy soundtracks.
It changes everything.
And it changes everything.
Especially with the emotional scenes. The thing is, you have to be so careful not to overdo it, and because then I think it can kill the scene.
Completely.
That's the problem. But my composers were so talented that I would almost describe the sound.
Yes.
I'd send them the references, and then they would just come up with something so great that worked just perfectly. And then it was a lot of back and forth here and there, just trying to tweak and make it as close to what we both wanted, and what they produced really, really worked. So I'm so grateful. It's definitely mental gymnastics.
Quite.
For someone, who isn't necessarily...
Because you have to learn another vocabulary, in a way.
Yeah.
The words that you might use for blocking a scene, or the acting terminology, it's very different to the visual terminology that cameramen might use. It's very, very different to the terminology that composers and new musicians will use. But there are the corollaries that go across all the domains.
I know. I mean, I found myself kind of just going by instruments, like maybe the violin, and then double checking on YouTube. What does the violin sound like? Oh yeah, that. Maybe one note of that, and yeah, somehow they really can just absorb, and because it's so instinctual.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, having watched the film, looking back, I can't. The music doesn't come back to me, or the use of sound.
Yeah,
I did not notice at all, and I think that's a good thing, because I think it shows that it was congruous. If I came away thinking, like, humming along a song or something, or thinking, gosh, that was a dirgy kind of soundscape for 17 minutes, it's probably detracted from the central thing for a film, which is the story.
Yeah. Well, definitely in the climax, we kept that silence, so the audience could really absorb the moment, and even running up to this sort of doggy scene. So we were selective where we placed it, and
music is made meaningful through the silences.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan did this fantastically in Oppenheimer a couple of years ago, because the whole film is leading towards the explosion of the bomb. The bomb was detonated and it was deadly silent.
Yeah.
In the cinema, which apparently is what would have been correct, because light travels faster than sound. And so if you're far away from the bomb, you'll see the explosion, you'll see the light far before you actually hear the noise.
Wow.
And it felt like a long time of silence where you're just seeing the imagery, and then the rumbles hit you.
Wow.
For me, probably the best use of silence in a film.
Yeah, there's so much sometimes in the unsaid than the said. So yeah, it was a really, really interesting process working with music, the composers, also their sound design. The mentor has a walking stick, and you would just think it's just a walking stick, but you've got to be so specific with the sound of the walking stick. One time maybe it sounded a bit like a rubber ball, like spongy, and it just had to be the right sort of wooden, but not too wooden.
Yes. Are there elements of the creative process that you don't enjoy, whether it's editing, sound design? Are there elements which you find purely difficult and annoying and without reward? Or do all of these various obstacles and challenges fulfill you in some way?
Oh, they all fulfill me. I want to say no, an answer to the former question, but every step is, I think, you know what? I see it like when you have a baby, you're pregnant and then you give birth, and it's such hard work and it's a nightmare, but it gives you so much joy at the same time. I think making a film is exactly the same. It's your baby. You're going to do whatever it takes.
Yes, quite.
To protect it, to give it a good life. So that's how I see it. Yes, the editing. I had an amazing editor as well, Jonathan Newman. He's also a director. The most patient man, and just amazing. Couldn't have done it without him. And he just sat through like so many edits, and you need a lot of patience for that. And because you're saying the same thing 1,000 times, but you always notice something, and
color grading, color correction, shadows.
No, but even with the sequences, like it might be a blink that you didn't notice before, and then like, oh no, maybe we should. And then you have to like look back at the different takes, 5 different takes. Okay, let's find the right expression, because it makes such a difference. Every little minutiae. So that is probably the most laborious in terms of the entirety of a film. But I love it. I love it all. That's been a huge part of my life. But I also love animals. And I found a way years ago to combine the two, my love for animals with art. And I did a half marathon in Kenya with Tusk. It's this amazing charity. They do conservation work in Africa, but they also help the people there with irrigation, education. And I've actually been to the schools. I've met the children. Like, it's real. Because, you know, there are charities out there that might not be as transparent, but this, I know, I've experienced it. They're really so special. And so we had to raise money for the run. And I just couldn't bear texting family or friends, sending emails, begging for money. It sort of felt like a glorified beggar. So I sort of sat down and was like, okay, how can I do this without begging? So I came up with an idea with my friend, Lucy DeRoper. She's a great artist, and some other friends, to put on an art exhibition in aid of Tusk to raise money. And the first one I organized was on a very small scale, but so special, even though everything was, you know, beautiful gallery in Mayfair. I think we had about 200, 300 people, which was like an amazing turnout. But we didn't have a DJ. We had like a music box and drinks. Then a few years later, because it was such success and people came up to me and said it was like the best £10 they'd ever spent on the night. So it's like an incredible deal as well. And so then I always had it in me, like, I want to do that again. It was something quite special about it. And then I got the opportunity, this incredible gallery in Soho called Soho Review, off the space. And so this time it grew, it kind of exploded. We got 12 artists. Oh my God, 4 DJs. And the moment people came in, it was alive, like high energy from beginning to end. And I think what was also quite unique is that it was very much a friends of friends event, almost a reunion for a lot of people who hadn't seen their friends, maybe prep school friends, or university friends. The night actually is so similar to running a set. You know, you've got the time constraint because you've got to be out by 9 and managing all these different people, all the guests, some potential clients, the artists, setting up and trying to keep that as smooth as possible, which I think...
some big personalities at art gallery openings.
Oh, definitely. And actually I was so lucky because I managed to somehow be in the exact moment when somebody fell in love with a piece of work, piece of art. So it happened on 2 occasions. My friend Lucy DeRoper, this woman was just staring at her paintings, beautiful painting, and something overcame her. She just said, "Where's the artist? Where is she? Where is she? I need this work." And the same with Hubert Cecil. He also sold his really cool sort of psychedelic piece. And same thing, this guy rocks up. He owns a bar in Soho. He actually just heard about it.
Yes.
So I think the word got round. There was a queue actually. It went round the block. 800 people bought tickets.
You should be doing this more often.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me so much joy to do.
Would you say that your filmmaking experiences came to bear on your creation of the art? And in turn, would you say maybe the art curatorial skills from the shows came to bear on your sets afterwards? I think it's the organization skills more than anything. And because you have to be on top of it. But and a lot of people, you know, sometimes they say, like, how do you do it? Whether it's running a film set or an art exhibition. And we say, well, you just have to send number one, send emails. It's about making connections and just like write it out on paper or in a Word document. Just get it all down, and it is possible. Anyone can do it. They can if I guess you just have to want to. But it's possible, and it brings just the greatest feeling in the world. You strike me as someone who's not only full of ideas, but as someone who likes to see those ideas come to fruition.
Yeah.
Whether it's films, books, art shows.
Well, I don't really think about it. I just do it.
Okay.
So it's like, I want to do that. Okay, like, let's do it. Like, I don't dwell or like ruminate. I just wouldn't. Like, it's such a waste of time.
Do you ever experience anything approximating like an imposter syndrome?
Maybe sometimes with acting. I think that's probably because you're so exposed with yourself. And yeah, maybe occasionally. There's always that fear that, you know, maybe it's not believable or the best you could do. But with the organizational things, not really, no. You don't really have time to have imposter syndrome. Because if you stop at any moment, then yes, the whole thing
There's 800
will
people
collapse.
outside waiting to come in. Yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember the door lady, adorable. She was so good, but she came up to me and her face was just almost ashen, and she had this look in her eye, and I really thought something bad had happened. And she was like, "I don't know what to do." So why? Like, what's going on? I'm like trying to sort of do 1,000 other things. And she's like, "Can you just come outside?" And I go outside, and this queue just went on and on and on. And she just didn't have enough time to like take the tickets and everything. And I was just like, okay, just forget the tickets. Just let them all in. It's going to take hours otherwise.
What's the worst that could happen? Well, Nicole, it's been fantastic to hear about everything you're working on. And I look forward to seeing the films and the TV series when it comes out.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.